You don't need to spend money to do market research. You need to spend time. எடுத்து காசு கொடுக்கிற தேவையில்லை.
Okay, marketing இந்த வீடு வீடா வருவாங்க. People know marketing and sales as a similar component.
For a long time, celebrities used to be the endorsers. Then last 5-6 years it changed. Social media influencers started coming.
Is it going to be like let's say Vinita will have two different personalities?
We have different personalities with people itself. You'll be fighting in the house. One guest comes and rings the bell. What happens? Vanga, please make coffee. The Jekyll and Hyde is inside everybody. Tomorrow Bata says, I want to make ice cream. Now, are you going to buy?
No.
It's a big company, they have money, they make great products. Why do you not want to buy?
Because I use their black shoes for my school, so it is a shoe company.
Exactly. So this is what is
Crocs company, the footwear company, collaborated with KFC, impacted both the businesses because Gen Zs were trying out something new.
In sex, earlier it used to be male-female. Now male, female, binary. I choose not to identify myself. Not because of any shame about Gen Z and all are very clear about I am this, I am 21, I am 36. Because you don't want to tell anything and comment. You only want to react to it. This man carrying this aluminium case and young taste of childhood, that's the brand. We have tried to put a label on everything. Don't need to unlabel, unbox, unbrand stuff.
Last couple of episodes we have been discussing about AI, going deep into it across industries, how it is penetrating and what kind of disruptions it is causing. So today I want to go a little more deeper into the marketing space with someone who is in this space for the last 2 to 3 decades. So really looking forward to hosting you.
Thank you so much, Arjun, and it's my pleasure. And I really like your topic also. It's something very close to my heart. I'll share from what I do as a profession. I'll try to keep the Gyan component very less.
Okay.
And we'll talk real examples.
Sure, absolutely. So you must have interviewed lakhs of people in the last decade. Right now I'm the moderator and I'm kind of ask questions to you, so I hope I will do a good job. I you can correct me in between if I am doing things not in right way.
Trust me, I was telling Zaman that it's been my desire to be sitting on this side of the table and be interviewed, and now I know how the butterflies feel. So trust me, we are all on the same page.
Yes. So let's get into that. See, a lot of people, including me, before starting the marketing agency that I do right now, 88GB. So I have not known about this industry which is actually there, like the marketing research industry. When we say marketing, mostly people will correlate it with sales. Okay, marketing இந்த வீடு வீடா வருவாங்க, இந்த மாதிரி சேல்ஸ் கொடுக்குறவங்க தான். I think till last 5 years or 10 years, people know marketing and sales as a similar component. How underrated it is because you are in this industry working with a lot of Fortune 500 companies and consulting companies. Tell a bit about what is marketing research, why it is so underrated.
Okay, thanks. I'll start with the last loop that you started. How people relate to marketing and sales being same. While you're saying last 5 years it has caught up, trust me, even now, if you go and talk to anybody, standard people, they'll say, adana ninga marketing and sales la irkenga. So I think this demarcation is very important. Marketing, very simple in ordinary terms, would be is to be able to tell I have this product, and if I get that message across to you, my job's done. That's what is marketing. Sales is very simple. You buy and give me a check or a purchase order. And that's why teams need to be separate. And yes, they could overlap in some place. Aalukku therinjada they will buy. Okay. But they are completely different. So, okay, let's now come back to what you've asked me. What's it about market research and being underrated? If you talk to any company and ask them, what are you investing in for the future? They all tell, we have an R. So we are developing in product. We invest time and money in systematizing it, right? We even invest in financial tools. But trust me, 8 out of 10 companies will not invest in market research, despite the fact that the revenues ultimately come only from front. So can I make this easier? Say you have a company, 88GB, and now you would definitely like to grow. So share with me, Arjun, how many X times would you like to go next year?
So probably I want to go 5x.
Perfect. Okay. So when you want to go 5x, what are the things that you are investing in?
Resources that I hire,
Yes.
talent, and the kind of technology that I use.
Yes. Which departments?
These are my operational.
So we do
changes.
operations, we do finance, we do product, we do advertising. But I always tell that market research is like, what is the market's perception of you to be able to scale?
Okay, let me take this example only. Let's keep it very simple for somebody who does not know what is market research and how it is impacting a business. Let's take a company like me. Okay, like right now, somebody is saying, okay, right now I'm making 10 crores of sales. So let's say I'll keep it very less. Okay, let's somebody is making 50 lakhs sales per month, and they wanted to get it to, for example, they want to make it to 5 crores in next 1 year or 2 year is what their goal is. Consider it is a service business, right? Like an agency business. How do they, which component will market research, let's say by doing a market research, by understanding, let's say I do a market research, I come to Panoramics, which is your company, and I ask, I want to grow 10x in probably next 2 years or 3 years timeline. What would be your approach, or what will be your answer or response to?
Super, super. We'll keep it very simple. So there's a company here from 50 lakhs, it wants to go 5 crores. Let's stick to that. Okay, it's basically 10x times. Now, what is the backbone of any company's growth is a single word, that is its brand equity. This is also fairly underutilized. So how much do you think they can? What does market think about? That's what is brand equity. Now, brand equity is like a pole vault. So you're here at 50 lakhs. You cannot just do a direct high jump of 5 crores.
Right.
You need to leverage.
Yeah.
Right? And that push comes by the equity. How do you know your equity? How much of a risk I can take and jump comes from research. Market research is very simple. It's like diagnostics. Do you go to a health checkup?
Right.
Tell me, why do we go to a health checkup?
In order to ensure I don't have any probably ailments or any negatives in my body or blood levels.
That is the outcome.
Yeah.
Basically, we go
To stay healthy.
Exactly. Basically, we go to check what's working, what's not working. And tell me, who is the happiest when they go to a health checkup and come back? What kind of result?
Nothing wrong.
Correct.
Everything
Do you
is
get
fine.
unhappy? I didn't find out anything. There is nothing missing. Market research sometimes is like that. When we conduct market research, we say, no, I don't know everything. The most owners tell me this, I knew all this. What you told me is nothing new. I said, which is good, which means you're hale and hearty and you're fit of health. Maybe some components are low. For example, your ad recall is less, or your reach is less, or you're perceived as pricey. These are small things which you need to address. Once you get to know what market is talking about you can invest, you can expand, you can correct, and that's what takes you to whatever you're.
So it's more like a diagnostic process.
Perfect. In fact, market research name should be changed.
Okay.
It is your brand diagnostics, not market research. So whenever we get people who come to us for market research, they'll say, okay, look, I'm planning to expand. Can you tell me what is the market for this? So don't get into it. Tell me what are you capable of and who will buy it. All market research gets is that buyer looking at you that you are capable. You can do. That's all.
Right. So, like, let's say it is okay. Like, I understand, okay, I have already built a business and I have to do the research to understand how I can rectify my operations, my finance, my accounts, my HR process to go to the next level. Like, let's say.
So, this will not, market research, as the name indicates, is not internal. It is external. What the consumers are thinking of you, and will they buy something else? Okay. So, let's give me an old example. If Bata company is there, they've been in shoes and furniture and all. Tomorrow, Bata says, I want to make ice cream. Now, are you going to buy?
No.
It's a big company. They have money. They make great products. Why do you not want to buy?
Because I use their black shoes for my school, so it is a shoe company.
Exactly. So this is what is perception. So Bata's, if you look back in, like you said, their finance, their systems, their ability, everything's good. But how is the consumer looking? Potential
But
consumer.
if you see, like, I mean, the way consumers are changing, so I'll give you a similar example, right? I think a year back or so, Crocs, the Crocs company, the footwear company, collaborated with KFC
Exactly.
to come up with something which is, what is it? All like, and people were, and it kind of impacted both the businesses because Gen Zs were trying out something new and doing it. Maybe I may not go for it, but a large chunk of population wants to see what they are. This kind of random collaboration probably triggers the user to try what is it or something like that. Like how.
You were perfect in this. So, that's the reason why I use Bata as an example.
Mhm.
And that's where comes brand equity. How is a company being seen by your consumer? Right? Crocs are seen as a cool space.
Mm.
They are seen as modern. They are seen as premium.
Mm.
That tying up with another cool,
Mm.
if anything, it's synergized.
Yeah,
right?
it's synergized.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that brands can't expect. What market research tells you is today, how is the consumer looking at you?
Mhm.
What can you do to beef it up?
Mhm.
And then you go ahead with the new products you want to start.
Mm.
So we call product expansion. Today, if I'm in ABC products, how much can I expand that the consumer is willing to give me that opportunity?
Mm.
It doesn't mean that companies, so what companies often do is they just change them. They don't bring it under the same brand.
Yeah, they create a sub brand.
Not even sub, they create a completely different brand.
Mm.
I mean, Unilever. I mean, I do all my work, I've grown up. So if you take Unilever, and then there is at the top end, you had the Surf, the entire Surf series.
Mm.
And then you have somewhere in between Rin.
Rin.
And the Adhika Keela, there used to be
Wheel.
something called Wheel. I mean, anyone who does brands knows that. But if you go to a regular consumer, they'll say the Moon Company.
Yeah, they have no clue. All these are
Exactly. Why? So, consumers' perception is very important. I'll tell you one development is coming off. Earlier, only B2C, meaning a consumer sees our ads and he is buying. Used to be the companies which do market research.
Mm.
Now it's not like that. Now B2B companies are where there's no consumer involved.
So the common customer, like let's say Surf Excel, Rin, and Wheel are from the same company, Unilever. But I think 99% of the consumer may not know about this. So is this the exact example of how market research supported a company to have this kind of because Unilever could have decided, okay, let me sell Surf Excel to the entire country of India. So where do you think, like, researchers like you, do you think they have helped them define something like, okay, you cannot go and sell a Surf Excel to somebody whose purchase power is not as much as buying a reel? Is it only associated with money, or is it also associated with other cultural elements, like let's say packaging, or
Again,
the consistency of the product, or the longevity of using 1 kg of packet? Like let's say I Surf Excel, somebody in a apartment, like they use it, but while you use Wheel, you're using probably the rocks to, like, you're manually washing your clothes, and probably uh, you have to probably spend more in rather than Surf Excel compared. So I'm just randomly
sure.
putting.
There are two things which you've covered. I will bring that in. And then we'll move out of Surf Excel. Otherwise,
Yeah.
our watchers are going to say, viewers are going to say that
Yeah.
they're stuck in. But I'll finish that since you brought that up. So if you see, as part of that study where Surf, then they said, we will create a brand Surf which already existed. Surf was a popular brand in the 80s. It used to have an ad, Lalita ji and all.
Mhm.
So within that, they created premium and popular. So premium went to the Matix, okay, Surfmatic,
Mhm.
okay, and then you had Quick Wash. So if you see the colors in that also are orange, blue, whereas if you go to the Matix, they're very subtle. There's a lavender and a blue, or there'll be a green and a blue based on front loading on top. Okay, then you come down and try saying, let's take wheel, okay, or let's take even a Tide, though it belongs to PG. the kind of people watching it would like to be associated. It's nothing to do with money power. That's what we tell is consumer psych,
Mm.
way consumers relate to it.
Mm.
So you will see one Salman Khan standing there with one shirt open and flowers coming and sticking to it.
Mm.
It's nothing to do with money.
Mm.
Whereas if you take Surf, the top end, you know
Mhm.
what they did 10 years back when they were looking at, they wanted to, how much can you say this can wash whiter, this can wash better? There's a limit to
Mm.
better.
Mm.
Okay. So they just went antithesis
Mhm.
and they said, saying that is dirt is good.
Mm.
So the team came from Sweden and they told in India, okay, now we have to do research on dirt is good. And all of us, at that time I was just a moderator. Moderators, who in India will accept dirt is good? I won't accept. I had
Mhm.
school going kids. And then they said, no,
Mm.
that's it. It was a very European thing, no? To put your hands in dirt, to put your hands in mud, and it's okay to do.
Yeah.
And that particular brand manager had that conviction.
Mhm.
Said, you do whatever you want to do,
Ah.
but I'm not changing this. We want people to
See
think.
dirt as good.
Their intention is to sell only.
Yeah,
Nobody
ultimately-
is like selling dirt.
Ah.
But they wanted to look at Surf in a different way. In fact, detergent in a different way. And use the premium one.
Mhm.
Do you get me?
Yeah.
Then, the theory behind it. Okay, so we are also
Karan
culprit.
Alad
Karan Alad.
Is Surf Excel or
Yes.
Tide?
No,
Surf
please,
Excel.
Surf Excel.
Okay.
They'll kill you. Okay, I will kill.
Sorry.
Because we were there. Okay. Tide will be that avakiting.
Yeah. That.
Shush.
Yes.
The shush.
Mm.
Okay. So, simple secret in this is nobody is selling dirt. But why did they use that line? Because they wanted people to relate to Surf, which tells you let children be the way they are. You can't avoid children getting themselves dirty. If you know,
Mhm.
anyone who's got kids
Yeah.
or been a kid know that. So the strategy they used was, let's show positively reinforced dirt.
Mm.
So then we started saying the kid is doing a good deed.
Mm.
The kid has helped one grandmother.
Mm.
Lots of stories.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
was ad agency's work.
Yeah.
And then the mother didn't mind after that. Okay, he's got dirty. I have Surf.
Mhm.
So Surf came more like a aid to her.
Yeah.
Let the kid be the way he's. That took Surf sales 3 times over. My stats could be wrong, but 3 is a very conservative.
Mm.
So that's where this you can 100% attribute to market research,
Right.
and we're all part.
So this definitely supports a company like Unilever or maybe an ITC in a larger level. How do you think it will support somebody starting a D2C company today? Like let's say I want to start selling healthy snacks. Okay, so why would I spend money, or like why would I even, or what is market research? For example, let's say market research for HUL would be in a very larger scale. You are studying lakhs of customers across continents. But let's say I want to start a food company now in Chennai or in Bangalore. What is market research for somebody starting today?
Sure. Great. So I'll first finish the cap. You're saying for big companies it is. Though the companies are big, the brands see the price of the brand or size of the brand and what they do. Okay. And many of these products which you mentioned across continents, they are very India specific also.
Okay.
Okay. So it doesn't matter. You have to look at them as silos, that being a brand, that being a product.
For
we
that
need
market.
to be, what we do. So let's now come to smaller ones. The one thing which I always tell, like we started with what's market research. Market research, again in simple layman terms, non-Google words, is what your potential or current customer thinks of you as a brand. That's all. Okay. Let's take a simple milk cookies. What does that person who's standing at the tea kada morning going to his job, they catch, that's the standard snack.
Mhm.
That 5 rupees milk bikis packet
Mm.
and one tea for 12 rupees. Within under 20 rupees, his breakfast is done and gone.
Mm.
At that time, he's not got too much of mind space. Is it Parle Jia? Is it Tiger Biscuita? Or is it a
Milk big.
milk tea? That we call it moment of truth, MOT.
Mm.
That moment of truth is where research helps.
Okay.
That trigger.
Mhm.
Now let's come to smaller companies. let's take a small brand since you said it's a food
Because
brand.
you said the perception of the brand by the customer. I don't even have a brand. I didn't even
Correct. You
start.
didn't even start. So at that time, it is product perception. That's why it's brand
Mm.
or it's product.
Mhm.
And when it's a home kitchen, for example,
Mhm.
that itself is a brand. I'm trying to say nowadays, no, unbranding is a big thing.
Yeah.
When I buy an Adamo, all my respects for ID,
Yeah.
but I will buy from the local grocer
Mhm.
who says, I have got this at home, my wife made,
Mhm.
and I've kept it there.
Mm.
Over maybe, if
Mm.
I have the luxury,
Mm.
on a branded one,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So this home and unbranded
Mm.
is a product,
Mm.
but that's a brand.
Yeah. Unbranded is a brand.
Do you get me?
Yeah.
And that's big. Yeah. Even if you take, we come from Chennai. You take those grand snacks and all. If you remember the packing, they were so popular. One useless screen printed, one green line will go. The whole thing would be like made in mommy's kitchen, Mari.
Mm. Mm.
And that was their equity.
Mm.
It's, by the way, sold in that outlet.
Mm.
Have you seen any advertisements? Do you remember seeing anything?
No.
Nothing. In fact, they do a lot more business before they even tried any advertisement
Yeah.
franchise.
So I'll give you just a example that happened yesterday. So I came out of a meeting and I was seeing this old grandfather selling fresh cookies in a box.
Correct.
So suddenly took me to my childhood days. Hey, we used to have things like this. Why am I? Because I've never in my last so many years I have not seen somebody selling cookies in that closed glass boxes.
Glass boxes, or
And-
we used to have those aluminium things.
Yeah,
They used to
aluminum
put on the
things.
head and
Yeah.
come.
So I thought, okay, I should buy it because I kind of had it like many years back. I used to have this, or these guys used to come in front of my house and sell this. But right now, nobody is doing. Very few people are doing it, and it is totally unbranded. He said you will never get it in any
Correct.
store. You will not get it in a bakery.
And that's his equity. We were talking so much about equity. When I say brand, and I'm so happy you brought this up, brand has nothing to do with the number of ads we have or a name or a logo.
Mhm.
If you break down brand, it is the consumer's perception and the picture he draws in his mind. That's all his brand. This man carrying this aluminium case
Mm.
and yum taste of childhood,
Mm.
that's the brand.
Amazing.
So we actually need to deconstruct. We have glamorized, and since you brought up the word AI, we have tried to put a label on everything.
Yes.
Don't need. You need to unlabel, unbox, unbrand stuff,
Mm.
and go down. And that's what, if you take nowadays the millennial and Gen Z, don't care. You see them coming into malls, you see them the way they are. There'll be one big coder somewhere. They're not trying to pull an attitude.
Mm.
All they say is, are you delivering on your product promise?
Mhm.
And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's your branding.
Mm,
That's
absolutely. So that's why like a lot of Indian grown brands are getting the traction because people are, Gen Zs are not looking just for heavy branded Louis Vuitton or like other Gucci kind of brands alone. So they are giving as much as value to an Indian grown brand which
Take
is
minimalistic.
delivering the promise.
Yeah, and take this is somewhere
Minimalist,
in,
yeah.
yeah. And they are giving a run to their money to any of the popular L'Oreals or anybody. Okay.
True.
And they are just now looking, A is very simple, value proposition delivered. So if I make that into simpler terms, நீங்க என்ன value you promised, that's the proposition.
Hmm.
It's like ISL. If you tell, I will promise 70% quality, but consistently day after day at this price,
Hmm.
people just, they're tired of the over promise
Hmm.
or the hype.
Hmm.
So let's come back. Sorry, we went a little astray.
Mhm.
We wanted to talk about how can small come. Let's take small startups. Nowadays,
Okay.
any business is called a startup.
Hmm.
I'm telling you, kindly front load your research. This is the one word I request every entrepreneur to write.
Front load research.
Front load research. We always, what's the meaning of this? We go to research after we have a problem or when we maybe want to expand.
Hmm.
If you want to expand, you're in a good space, nothing to worry.
Hmm.
You have money. But when we have a problem, it is like you're trying to fix a diabetes after it's hit and your H1ABC is at about 9.
Hmm.
No. But if you were in front loading and doing research, you would have known from 6 to 6.5, and then you can make small lifestyle changes, either correct it or set it right or do whatever you.
Hmm.
So small companies need not go please to one big agency,
Hmm.
then say, I need to spend this money. If you are putting X amount into your product, my request is you need to be allocating 20% research. It could be time, it could be money.
Hmm.
Don't think if I have a 10 lakh budget, I should put 2 lakhs. That's too much. No, it could be time cost.
Hmm.
Okay? That constantly
Probably the
market
amount
research.
of time that you spend in the market with your TG, be
Exactly.
down there.
So just
That's not going to cost you.
that's not going to. But I want you
Time.
to allocate that time.
Hmm.
So market research is two advantages. One, it is a guardrail first initially.
Hmm.
Are we aware of what's happening? Is my brand able to, or my product able? Other thing is you constantly need to know whether it gives you one price advantage. If you are seen as good, reliable, and I want to buy, you can actually increase the price.
Hmm.
I did one study. I'll tell you. They are a very popular B2B. I'm just not taking name of the company. They do TMT products. Simple. It's not even a consumer brand. Okay. What you build buildings are and there are 3-4 players in that. The biggest ones are Tata, Tiscon, JSW, Radha, ARS in Chennai. That's all. 4 big. One of the guy wanted to increase his price. How to increase price? He doesn't want to lose his customers. So they said, okay. We said, okay, let's go to the market and let's not talk about price. We went to the market and found out what is his perception about the brand. At which stage will you leave the brand and jump?
To their existing customers.
To their existing customers. And then we also went to people who are not buying. Because that's when you'll get a holistic 360 view. And then we found out from them why they're not. This helped the company realize that they can increase their price by 8%. That we did a calculation. And this had nothing to do with sales and marketing and all that. We just went spoke. And they didn't have too much of a budget. So we told them, look, we'll train your salespeople in ordinary conversation with the distributor. Just bung this it into a conversation. And because they trust them. If I went as a market researcher and I stand there and tell me, rate this on 8, rate this on 10, rate this on 11, they will still tell me rational answers. With him, we did. And that was a new model. We told the client, look, only my time. Fieldwork was done by your team. And the team was also feeling very empowered. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they're talking to them. And it helped them. So that's what is called front-loading research. Find out first and just get to know. There's one more pitfall here. Be careful. If you start taking everything that a consumer is telling you, and then start implementing, it will become the grandfather and the donkey. You know the old story. No? Should you go on the, you know the story about there's a grandfather and a grandson were taking it's a market research story, a donkey to the market to sell it. And they were just walking. Okay. And the grandfather made the grandson sit and he was walking. So someone came and said, why are you doing this? That's the old man walking and the young kid. So they switched places. Then people came and said, no, this is wrong. Old young kid is walking you. So grandfather got irritated and then said, okay, he took both. So the others came and told that, no, what are you, I'm going
Donkey
to
is
kill that.
overloaded.
You both are such idiots, you should carry the donkey. So what they did finally, they carried the donkey and the donkey fell over the bridge and died. This is the oldest market research story. Kindly do not implement everything that the consumer says. It's against our profession, but it's truth. You need to have your purpose and you're taking inputs and interweaving that into your strategy. That's what is effective market research.
So what happened with the TMT?
Very good. So for the TMT bars that we're doing, we went and found out where does their equity stand and up to which price are they willing to extend it. That's called price meter index. After the sweet spot is gone, they will jump. But you can't ask this question directly. Everybody else here, in the cost is too much, why will I increase even? Then we went about checking what are the good things that they experienced with this? What is it that the brand has done to them? And how proud they felt when they built the house, and what is your belief. And that wove in the story with other brands to help increase the price. You
Sunday.
need to do a structured one also, but
Mhm.
I'm trying to tell you can do this by yourself.
Mm.
You just need, in the end, we call it jacketing. Use a market research consultant to jacket this whole thing to
Mm.
make it actionable.
Right. So these kind of things the founders can do by talking to the customer. So do you have any framework for, like, let's say a small business? How do they do? What is, like, let's say again, I took an example of healthy snacks. So I want to sell a healthy snack. I know how to make the product. I know, like, this is going to be one of the best in the market. So let's keep the product is always the mandatory part of it. So now, what if there are 10 other people doing similar kind of products in the same market, and now I have some insights which my competitors don't have? Same product, same market, but I have certain insights which can make me better than the other products out there, other brands out there. So what are those? Ideally could be for a consumer brand. Like, do you think it's packaging, or it's the communication, or it's the overall branding, the positioning? So, like, let's say,
I
is it
understand.
about
Yeah, good.
choice of only online or online offline? So, like, there are multiple parameters, right? Like, so can you tell me maybe a real example, or what do you think
Yeah.
about this?
We'll stick to real exam. I said no Gyan.
Yeah.
If you want Gyan, go read Philip Kotler. He'll give you all the P's under the sun. Okay. From 4, it became 7. After that, I stopped following. Okay. Um, let's stick to the example you started from. When it is unbranded, okay, when it's a home food, okay, how can you build perception and how do they buy? So when you look at any of the batter making ones in Chennai, we all know how to make batter. Okay, we don't make. We all we have the best brands who claim mineral water, who say no preservatives and clean, hygienic branded ones. But still 80-90% of the market will go buy batter from
The next door.
the next door. Okay. Now that unbranded is still a brand. There they are selling a perception. What's the perception? Not even emotion. Perception. Simple. We often confuse this. It looks good. It's like the batter I make at home. So idli being the first thing in the morning you want to eat idli or dosa, it's closest to what I could have made, but I'm not able to make. And that's it. And there's not too much thought going. I'm trying to say we do nowadays do not occupy so much of consumers' mind space that we as brands think that they're thinking. They don't think so much about us.
Yeah.
So it's even more important, like I told, take that word and put it on the wall. Perception is reality. This is a universal truth. And this is a lot more relevant to the smaller brands or the ones who don't even brand it or they're just suppliers. I'm saying a lot of times suppliers, for example, my friend's husband has a factory. He supplies to Parle-G. And he said, why do I need to do research? After all, my only customer is the company, Parle-G. How will my perception change? I said, no. You go talk to your client, who is Parle-G, not just quality issues. How do they see? What do they perceive you as? And why are you killing the opportunity of doing with others? You can open another stream. You can think of other things. You can diversify.
Right.
Right? So similarly, I'll give you the same example of home bakers. You know how home bakers are. Do you know how much a cake can cost at a home baker per kilo? There is somebody in Anna Nagar who sells it 3,000. No clue why we pay her 3,000. They're really good. Okay. Versus a regular home baker, she'll be struggling to sell at 800. Now, what's the difference? It is word of mouth. They have Insta handles, but it is primarily word of mouth. The perception that their customers had of their product, and they go tell others, and that catches traction along with whatever posts you're putting. Trying to say, நீங்க வெறும் posts போட்டுட்டு, if you only load it on the product or just the advertisement and not check how effective it is. That is what is research, market research. You don't know if you're putting money in the right basket. Do you understand?
Right.
Should you be advertising more or should you be getting a better cake?
Better cake.
We don't know. Right? So when you're putting money, நீங்க market போயிட்டு when you ask questions, you will get the answers.
Is word of mouth still a biggest marketing?
I won't say biggest marketing, but yes, if you're a startup and you are working with a limited target group and the target group know each other, then it is.
Right.
So we can even move it, say you are a manufacturing company, okay, and you're supplying bearings or you're supplying washers. And if you have common clients, don't we all tell, hey, Machana, Salem, I got this supplier, chinna company, vaadu correct time ku பண்ணுவான், he will give me exactly what he tells. So many times we've told, no?
Right.
So that's good.
So that perception, like let's say some of
Exactly.
the brands have created some sort of a perception. Now they want to redo it or they want to make it better because now they realized, okay, customers have some bad image over me. Though I am a legacy brand, there is some negatives which a small company is like taking my space. So how do we change that perception? Like let's say market research will tell me, okay, this is what your customers are thinking about you. So do you think after the research this kind of perception has been tweaked? How it is tweaked? Is it through marketing campaigns or is it through actually giving better service or doing better product? What is the next step of finding
So
something?
any market research report, whether you do or you outsource it or anything, there has to be a last slide. Like you asked me some time ago, what is the framework? It's called way forward. Okay, so what next? And that slide is followed in the second half by actions. If you don't tell that, it's of no use. All right. So nowadays, market research is. So let's take for an example, companies which have their brand names and they carry the legacy and they want to bank on that legacy. The legacy becomes a very big headache. Okay, I'll take a small example, something related to Chennai. So he's a good friend of mine, so I can use that. Madras Tools and Tackles. This was a pure hardware store, okay, in Paris Corner, 40 years ago, okay. And they were a very reliable hardware store and people loved them because they used to travel. They were Marwadi, they are Marwadi. They used to travel, so they used to bring the best of products. But fast forward, okay, the son joined. And then he said, legacy is in its place, but I want to add more customers. It's nothing to do with sales. See, he wanted to change the profile of customers. Do you get me? And then then his father said, no, I worked 50 years for this, you can't touch it. So then a branding company came and they brought in a market researcher and they said, let's keep the legacy, but also change the perception to something smarter, just smarter. They made it MT and T. Like L&T you have? MT. And so people now when they go to exhibitions, I'll show you the logo also, says, are you a European company? Are you a foreign company? So they blended both. See, it's such a small shift. You didn't need to run 1 crore campaign. Okay. So what was the advantage? Not just name change. Because it became MT, I remember I told you, does the consumer give you permission to expand your products? From hardware, they went into equipment, road laying equipment.
Amazing.
And you should see. And then they put temporary roads and they started construction equipment. They actually built, you can trust me, I am a professional foreign feeling company. They never went and told I am from anywhere, right?
Yeah. But it feels like that.
Yeah, you just say the name MTNT.
Just like Peter England is not from England.
Right? Nothing to do with it.
Yeah.
So this is what and this I gave you a live example for someone whom I know very closely.
Madras Tools and Tackles become MT&T. Because of that, they were able to expand their portfolio, expand their business, expand their market.
They expanded the consumer perception of them. That's what I'm saying. Perception is Madras Tools and Tackles pair vechinde. If I say I am renting out equipment with 1 lakh rupees a month, they can get more screwdrivers, more hardware, more kadapara, more pana.
Yeah, when you say hardware, my mind directly, customer's mind directly goes there.
How much can you retail it? How much more can you retail it? This was a family which had money, but they needed consumer permission to expand.
True.
And that is perception.
Right.
So that's where, I mean, earlier days they used to give us, remember that Madras Rubber Factory example? That is very outdated. So that's why I removed. I didn't use that.
Okay.
From Madras Rubber Factory, they made it MRF. When you said MRF tires, it was still. Even now, MRF is still seen as just strong, reliable, and good. That's all. But you are not giving permission beyond that.
Yes.
At the most, they are stuck to maybe F1 and tracks and all. But if you take an MTNT, they now expanded in different horizons. They didn't stick just to construction. Do you understand?
Right.
They moved to consultancy. They moved. That's it.
So, do you think successful companies are the ones that have built legacy businesses, or the ones knowingly or unknowingly, innately do the market research by themselves? Because I see a lot of 200 crore, 500 crore companies with no marketing team, like just founder taking the decision. A lot of this kind of founder-led businesses are still predominantly there in large parts of the country, right? So, do you think these founders are really smart enough to do this market research without having to term it market research, or I will go to a consultant or a agency? Do you think the founder themselves are doing it so that only they are successful? Is it part of their business already?
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you from where I am. So I also coach at one of these networks which have companies net worth upwards of 100 crores, not promoting that, but so I see how they think. Okay. So this is typically your Ambattur industrial estate kind. Okay. And or whichever industrial estate. So that is, they're not brand names like, bearings and ball bearings and all, but they do all the What they do is, after it crosses that 30-40 crore, the founder no longer has time. I have seen that. The founder focuses on opportunities. And the people do the operations. The market research component of them, I still have not, while I tell he's my friend, I have not been able to crack. Okay. He's like, why do you need? My team does it. What they do is, they have an in-house system of taking consistent feedback and feeling the market pulse. What do market researchers do? We bring you market pulse in a structured form without any bias. So what these companies do, the ones that you refer to, they constantly are on the watch for how we are doing, which is the top line and the bottom line, and they watch equally well what's the market doing. Okay. Then they marry this to expand. So when you are on an expansion mode and you're constantly watching the markers, you don't really need a market research formal company. They do it. They'll do it via a branding consultant. So the branding company will say, look, without doing an equity, I don't know where you stand today. You need to let me do. Like we were recently doing for a company which was doing a household product. Let me take an example like an asafoetida or something like that. You really need to know where you're standing. How will you take it forward and put spends into your marketing or communication without knowing what people are reacting to?
Right.
If you go to 10, they'll go to 10 people whom they know, and then they collect that information. Nothing wrong. It may be 70% accurate, 80%. But if you take these larger companies, larger is not large cap, people who know that they want to move this way, have a large, they want to track it at every instant.
Right.
That's all. And it doesn't mean you will take actions. I know where we are going. If there is anything, SOS.
So the smart businessmen always know their customers well, what they want, what they because they are closely watching. But when they are scaling, they need a structured approach to it. Correct. They need a structured team to do it.
Sometimes scaling, I would put the other word. Sometimes you want to shift. You want to do something else,
which you probably don't know.
Exactly. It could be a new product, or you're closing down a division also many times.
Also, when they are entering a new market, maybe?
Yes, absolutely.
Because right now, let's say I am an entrepreneur who know everything about Tamil Nadu, but I don't know how a market in Assam functions. Probably, do you think that's if let's say if I want to start selling my similar product to the Assami, so do you think a market research can facilitate that?
So we need not call it this formal market research. when you are entering a new market, you need more. First is market pulse, more than consumer pulse. Right now in Chennai, if you do a market research or Tamil Nadu, you want to know how is your consumer pursuing yes, correct? Because they have already consumed or they have rejected. There are some people who don't want your services. They are aware of you, but they don't want you. Correct? In Assam, they neither know you, nor do you think whether they need your product. Tell me one thing. Why do you think any customer / consumer buys a product?
Because they would have seen it somewhere, or somebody would have told about it, or they were looking for it and suddenly they found you.
It's so then the buying has happened already. It was only a question of being available. Okay. So in research, one of the, not my line, we use it is a customer buys your services or product only for two reasons. One, you're giving him a benefit, or you're solving a problem of his. You take any product you are seeing, trust me, it will fall only into these brackets. One of the best examples of this is laptops. I have nothing against Apple. I buy all their products, but still, thereby I have the right, I use the right to talk about it. Tell me 10 years back, before it became popular, did you have any problem with HP or Dell or Gateway or the multiple brands? Did you have any problem?
No, not really. I was happily using Microsoft Windows.
Correct. Then why did you shift to a problem double, 2.5 when they launched, 2.5 times the price or 2 times the price? They sold us a benefit. We had a non-existent problem. We had no problem with the UI. The UI was going well. But they said, okay, here is a much superior UI, which was a small benefit. Correct? A perceived benefit. It's not even a benefit. Okay. If you are removing stains on my cloth, then it is a benefit. But if it is an improved UI, it is a perceived benefit. But that made you seem like the earlier UI as a big problem. It's so hard. I have to move. I have to do this. So that's a perfect classic example of how this is all comes from market research. Definitely. It's not a marketing strategy or something. And what do you go to the market and do? Are people looking at your communication the way you want them to look? This is what market researchers do.
Right.
If we went to market and found out, no, they are selling one over-perceived thing at 2.5 times the price, then they would have seen it differently.
Yeah. But now they made the user interface so unavoidable that like, okay, I want to try that. Or this is so superior to the existing interface.
Right, you made the existing a problem. You perceive it actually as problem. They hang over there. Okay. And also, they brought in one big benefit. You have to give benefit of no hanging. That I will give it to you.
Always good.
Yeah. So that goes into UX. I am talking base level. It was UI only. By the way, for some of our things, this UX UI is a very abused word with one slash. So do you think you want to decode this? Now I'll ask you the question, or I could. How do we demarcate between like sales and marketing? UI UX difference in them.
So I mean, this is something I had problem with explaining a lot of people also. So according to me, I kind of say it. I correlate with the real examples. Like let's say UI is more like the visual things. Let's say if it is your house, what color paint you are using, what kind of tiles you are using, so how beautiful it is looking, and whether everything is very pleasing for somebody, like what kind of interiors you have done, sofas you have put.
Basically all the tangibility.
Yeah, tangible, like the things which you
can see, feel, smell.
Yeah, but UX is your door to enter to your house should be in the front, not in the back side of your house. Then it becomes a backyard. So no, for creatively I will keep it in the side of my house. That's not UX. So somebody coming to your house, they want to enter through the front, not through the back. So let's say if somebody saying I want to, so that's user experience, and you keep things in a very and you have to, let's say puja room has to be in somewhere accessible in the living space, not inside your bedroom. So then that's not a user experience. Probably for some customer, it is. So I feel it's more of the visual things which you feel, look, touch and feel are UI, and experience is something which navigates you to any.
That's a good
anything.
example. UX UI is also a little thin space. That's why whenever people write it, there's a slash there.
Okay.
So there is an overlap.
Overlap. Okay.
Okay, it doesn't exist one minus the other. So we are talking of, say, for example, your Apple. Okay, any of the I or anything. The finger and the way it's laid out and what you experience. Okay, actually it's an experience. Though
Yeah.
you call it UI.
Yes.
That's UI. And then once you get into it and the feeling after having used or while using is an experience. So I've tried to explain this. It's a gray, slightly overlapping area. It's not hard, but one does not exist without the other.
Yeah. So can I say, like, because the one aspect which I really like about Apple is that they're connected ecosystem. See, I must be using something
Yeah.
on my iPhone. Suddenly, I open my laptop.
That comes
I
into
continue
which
the
one?
work.
I or X?
X.
Perfect. I think we can move on. Okay. We've explained this. It's more for us. Okay.
Yeah. So
Right, right.
yeah, I mean,
Yes, sir.
people who study UI UX also have
very-
this problem. They don't exactly know what is the difference. But yes, so that's for probably common people it would have helped.
So let's come back to, you were asking about market research and you were at a point where we were talking about how can the entrepreneurs who don't do also, is it mandatory? Yeah? So I'll give what we will tell in school, like 10 years back when you applied to a job, okay, they would ask you, do you know, I know MS Office. I have seen in so many CVs, I think at some point even I have written MS Office. Now, do you see that? When you hire somebody, do you ask him, do you know PPT, do you know Excel, or do you know Word?
No.
Even entry level,
Yeah.
right?
It's mandatory.
It's mandatory. So, market research and basic quantitative, qualitative, okay, those are the two parts which we should go into next, will become hygiene, mark my words, in 5 years. It's already become in companies. Can you run a poll, they ask you, don't they?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, can you read the data? So now running a poll, of course, all the apps are doing it. But do you know how to read the data and interpret it? Is become mandatory.
Right. If you want to, let's go little into what is quantitative and what is qualitative, because apart from researchers, nobody knows what is quantitative and qualitative.
Thank you.
So what is it? Like, what is qualitative research? What is quantitative?
This is my favorite topic. Thanks. I love doing it. Market research demystified. That's my header. Okay. Simplified. More than demystified, simpler. I'll give this as an example with law. If I ask you, in law, do you know what are the two kinds of lawyers we have, or the two kinds of law?
Civil and criminal.
Perfect.
Yeah.
You stop anyone on the road, everybody will tell this.
Yeah.
Correct? Mostly. They may not know what does it come under, but in the rendu word, people will know. Like this, anybody who talks about market research, two words you know.
Qualitative.
Qualitative. Adukapram explanation comes. The minute you say quant and qual, they say, okay, konjam.
Okay.
He knows. Okay, and that's enough. You're above 80% of the people. So, in order to make this a very simple example, I was taught it, and I will use the same thing. Like the let's say the watch I'm wearing. Okay, if you come and ask me, how is this? I ask you, how's this watch? So, can you please give me an answer?
Yeah, it's looking good, and it is probably matching your costume that you are wearing today.
Super. This is a qualitative answer. That's all. What we describe, basically whatever you describe and what you feel comes into qualitative. If you remember these two words, enough. That's all. Now let's go to quantitative. Quantitative ku or popular name irukku. That is called surveys. So when people used to ask me, what do I do? If I say market research, they won't understand half the time. Then I would say surveys. So you go door to door and you knock doors and you ask people. I mean, my poor parents used to die. So yeah, kind of something like that. But so surveys lo quantitative lo, very simple. Do you like it? Yes, no answer. This used to be 20-30 years ago. Then people realized that in the yes no nadula also you have a space. So that is when we started. How much do you like?
Rate it between 0 to 10.
So at least you have you don't, everything is not binary, You don't hate this or you don't love this.
Yeah.
So that's what is quantitative. So anything to do with how much percent of, and quantitative surveys lo eppume you have to meet a certain bulk people
Hmm.
to get an opinion.
Hmm.
Okay, you have to do 100 sample size. So from academic terms, this is my favorite. Minimum cohort is 30. Simplest of simpler. Or juice, how does it taste? You have to speak to 30 people to qualify it to be a
Quantitative research.
sample. Research kuda illa. It's a sample.
Sample size.
Correct.
Should be minimum 30.
Minimum. This is thumb rule. Anyone asks
So
you,
can we?
you can
let's
pass
say-
with this exam.
Okay, if anybody wants to start a food business, at least 30 people you should speak. Let's say you are
30 people should speak and record likes. Speaking will come into quality.
you should test your product with at least 30 people. Can I say
Test
like
and record how much they liked.
that? Okay.
The key is how much.
So we'll have to give them a survey form, or
Yes.
so quantitative is always like asking
Numeric.
them to fill a form.
Fill or you fill. Sometimes they don't
You
fill.
ask and fill.
You ask and fill. Basically, that's why the word used there is record.
Record.
You have to record, and you have to record, the word is metrics. There needs to be a number.
Okay.
You can't say, "Hey, it's very tasty."
So that becomes qualitative.
You can still say, I met 30 people and I came back and 30 people. No. You have to show metrics. Out of 30, how many said tasty and எந்த அளவுக்கு tasty? 70% tasty, 80% tasty,
அது
90%.
நம்ம எப்படி டிஃபைன் பண்றோம்ன்றது இருக்கு. So
அது நம்மளோட
a basic Google form if people are able to
You
use.
don't need to, what I'm trying to tell, you don't need to spend money to do market research. You need to spend time.
Hmm.
You need to find people to help you. But எடுத்து காசு கொடுக்கிற தேவையில்லை. That, I mean, this is a perception. Many people tell me, hey, market research is for big companies. You need lot of money. No, kindly break this myth.
You just go create a Gmail account, create a Google form, put all the questionnaires and just send it to
That is survey. Qualitative is even easier. You just talk to people. You give me a juice.
Yeah.
I showed you this watch. And say, how is it? How does it look? And qualitative, sample size, you don't need much.
qualitative க்கு தேவையில்லை.
3, 4. After that, it starts repeating.
Okay. So, but what if, let's say even for qualitative, I have to speak to different types of people, right?
That is called segmentation.
Okay.
Okay. So, even in quant survey, ஒரு segmentக்கு தான் 30. If you say, for example, you say, I want to talk to men. I don't want to complicate. I'll keep it simple. I want to know how do men perceive it and how do women perceive it. Simple. All right? I will. So, if men is a segment and criteria, in quant, you must run 30 men. In qual, equivalent or 3 to 4, you speak, it's enough.
Okay.
This is rule of thumb. More segments you break, you increase sample.
Okay. So, in qualitative, அவங்க எப்படி, so I like, do you want to break down the qualitative now?
Why don't we
How do
take
you-
somebody's startup as an example, and then it's easier. Then
Okay.
our viewers can relate.
Fine. So, take a masala brand. for
Super.
example.
Okay. Is it now a home masala or the standard masala brand?
Okay, like a home masala. Like people are selling a pack. Let's say it's a new brand selling
Done.
chili powder
Got
to
it.
the market.
So let's take whatever. At Adigalatlendu we had MTR, then came your Shaktis, then came your Achis, and then from north we got the MDHs.
Yeah.
How did they enter? Let's take that example. Okay. So when Everest and MDH, this is real research which I did, they wanted to come down to south. Okay. Again, when I say these big names, please don't get carried away that they have money they are doing. No. They are more kanjapisnar than us. Okay. What you need to do is, 2 things you need to know. The qualitative. Earlier days, we used to say you can do only qualitative, you can do only quantitative. Now, 80% studies need both the components. Okay? Because people buy from perceptions, feelings, and that comes from qualitative. Feeling. I feel like this. The same, your UX. Okay? How it was. UX will actually fall into qualitative.
Yeah.
You need to know metrics. How much percentage of people are saying this? What is the use if 3 guys said that, very nice, very nice, very nice? Will it make business sense? So, you need to marry metrics with perceptions for you to see how to move it forward. That triangle, this is called triangulation of data.
Okay.
It is complete triangle. You see, this is one vertex, this is the other vertex, and then Keela is your business sense. Only then you move it.
So for every business, we'll have to do a combination of both the studies. Is it?
We all do. We don't you go if you're launching a product. What do? You go ask 5 friends. Only thing we mix it up.
We do it like.
Sir, pattila sollu ethan mark kodupen. But then you'll run one interview. Did you like it? Did you enjoy it? There's nothing wrong. The consumer need not know. In his head, he is not doing a quantitative interview or qualitative interview. As long as the person incorporating it.
But what if it becomes bias at times? Because sometimes probably I like it, but I say, okay, average.
Thank you for bringing this question. That is where is the next trend. I was hoping you'll ask this question. Where is market research headed? So you should understand the humans are also evolving. It's not that they're doing purposely. We are getting smarter. We are getting evolved. Okay. In a day, the kind of exposure you're having, be it your social media or anything, okay, you're getting sharper and sharper. So research also has to evolve.
Right.
To catch with the sapiens, the way we've done, the same story. So there is nowadays a new term called behavioral patterns.
Okay.
Anything in the space of behavior. So market research has gone passe. It's now called consumer behavior. From consumer behavior, you have moved it to behavioral labs. Okay. Nudge labs. All these are where you capture behavior. What you say, like when you said, no, this is what? It matches your outfit. It is called claimed reality. Koncham technical pora, I'll layer it thin, stop me.
Yeah, let's give, because I think we have covered a lot of basic. Let's go a little.
Yeah, this is now my space. Okay. This is called claimed reality. That means நீங்க சொல்றீங்க, like you said, no, he's just being defensive. சும்மா சொல்றான். சரி சொல்லிட்டா போச்சு. It's okay. Then there is something called reality. Okay. Truth. The truth is when you're not acting, but your body and mind are reacting to something. So, adukku we are using technology nowadays. Say, for example, have you seen a photograph anytime? I'm bound to pause it. They say camera does not lie. Therima? You can be lying to the person, but the camera will capture.
Yeah.
Right? You're angry, you're irritated, what is it that it's capturing?
Your reality.
Your body language, which is a reality. Correct?
Yeah.
Okay. See wedding photographs. All of them, everyone smiles, but you really know what's happening there. Okay. Nowadays, in fact, for wedding shoots, they're training them how to act natural.
Yeah.
You know? So idukku we have to use some neurological tools.
Okay.
This is the latest. It started 5 years back, but the next 3-4 years is going to be the neurological wave. More than AI, which you started in the beginning, I would say in market research, it's the neuro wave.
Okay.
What is a neuro wave? It can be what your eyes are seeing. It can be how your skin is reacting. You know, sometimes when you see something, you didn't ask your skin to behave like that. It's naturally happening. And the third thing is your mind. Endalauku is engaged. It's called cognitive. So the new words in future in market research would be neuro, cognitive. Okay. You will hear things like voice analysis, like when we talk. And for example, have you seen the lie detectors? In a lot of movies, they'll show you.
Yeah.
That's a neuro tool. That's now being used. How do they know the neuro? How do they tell he's lying or no? One, his voice. Voice. Another is your heartbeat.
Polygraph.
Yeah, the polygraph. Okay. So we have a client. I can talk about this. I'm not taking the name. He does eye tracking with neuro for movies. So when a movie is sent to him and then they wear eye tracking glasses, this is again the heartbeat monitor is just clipped. Simple, nothing. And when the sound effect comes, did the consumer's reaction be like that? You got me?
Yeah.
The heart should go to a particular level and it should react. So then they see whether it hit. You have some algorithm, it should hit this number. Okay. If it doesn't, it goes back to studio.
Okay.
And then they increase the volume. or they increase the sound effects.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm talking real, okay? And he does this for Universal Studios, but he lives here in Tirvanmur, okay? And so because they use our glasses, the eye tracking glasses, and then they retest it.
Okay.
So the thing is, it's all under NDA. So we don't know what is going on, what is the dialogue, nothing. They were made to wait those glasses and markers and sent inside, and then they come and did it hit the peaks?
Okay.
I'm trying to say, can you believe that research is penetrated so much? This is pure market research.
Okay. So this neuro marketing thing entirely that you said. So can you what is this what neuro marketing is all about? Because
Not marketing.
Okay.
You will have to call it market research.
Okay.
Neuro marketing is to what extent is it engaged? Like for example, if you go to a McDonald's or any eatery, any digital menu, not McDonald's, you'll see there'll be 8. If you go and notice carefully, in 8, only 1 will be a dynamic film. Rest all will be static. We don't notice it, but that's how it's placed. And most of the time, our eye goes only to see that moving thing. And they want customer, because there they can't sell. It's now all passive. All buying has become passive, no? Nobody likes interaction and a salesman pushing it. Nobody wants. So then how do you catch the consumer's attention? You get his neuro engaged. What is the neuro? Eyes and then mind. So that one rotating or dynamic film is often the one which gets highest orders. You remember earlier days, you'll go to a hotel and sit and say, today what is special? He'll say, sir, today crab masala, today gobi 65, and they'll push it. And you'll not order that because he's pushing, if you recollect.
Kind of, yeah.
Right? I mean, most people. So then they became smart. What they started doing, they started putting on a board. Today's special, okay? So we started catching attention. Then we became smarter. This is no, the owner is pushing this. So now it is passive buying. What they did, they just put all the 8 on the board.
One is dynamic.
And this is proven. I'm saying this is our day in and out job.
Right.
This is where market research comes. What does market research do? You capture, you measure, and you tell the entrepreneur.
Now you're influencing the customer's behavior.
See, now for a wave, for a long time, celebrities used to be the endorsers, right?
Yeah.
And they survived for like 30 years. Then last 5-6 years it changed. Says, no, that heroine is not using that to scrub it. I don't want. That's when what happens? Your social media influencers started coming. They removed that also now. Now if you see, ordinary social media people who will put oil on the head. They have become, this is what we are calling now, in market research we say, users have become researchers. They tell you.
Yeah.
So now we don't go to 100 people. We go to one user and then we tell her, you check with you are seeing what you're seeing with neighbor, because she's a little influential. Okay. And she becomes the researcher, she or he.
Right.
So neuro is big. So what I told you was the simplest, only eye.
Okay. So in the neuro research, let's say eye is something like
one.
So that's one of your core areas that you're focusing.
That's what for example, I started as a market researcher who would collect surveys, do interviews. And personally, I'm somebody who's a little restless. So what next? So I've always, like we say, research forward. I've always invested ahead of time. So I burnt a lot of fingers. But the advantage was, by the time it caught up, I was ready.
You're already there. Yeah.
So whatever I make losses for 3 years, I catch up in that 1 year. For example, there's Blue Jeans and Zoom. We had invested 2 years before COVID came. And we were bleeding on that. And that time it was very expensive. It was 80,000 per year we used to pay. We used to die to make that money. It may sound small now, but in 2017 to pay 80,000 per line was through the roof. Then COVID came. 2020, 2021, I made up all the money. But this happened because of research. You can ask me, who does research for me?
You?
Yeah. No, I don't do formal research. I've never engaged any market research agency or conducted. Keeping an eye for which I told you, your Ambattur or it's just a name, the 200, 300 bracket guys do.
Yes.
They are constantly keeping an eye for. Have you done surfing anytime? Or
No.
okay, that's okay, even better. So surfers don't ride on every wave. You wait for that wave which you know is going to break at this level, and then you ride it,
Right.
right? But to identify which is that wave, ella wave to see look same only.
Right.
Some will break too soon, some won't. So that skill, if entrepreneurs develop, it's more than enough. Don't hire a formal.
Right.
These you may need neuro because it includes technology, some investment, some know-how. More than that, know-how. How to decode. We call something called heat maps. And the red heat map one, what does it mean?
Fine. So, I mean, there are so many things happening in marketing. There are so many ways in which somebody can become smarter. But right now, let me talk about the last 2 to 3 years in which how marketing is evolving, at least from my lens, or like of the way brands are also seeing it. The disruption of Gen AI and the way in which ChatGPT has become everybody's assistant, everybody's personal intern to work for 24 hours with them, and the kind of image generation platform, the video generation now. A lot of VFX studios, the production houses that I used to work with, they are kind of scared to see the kind of production capabilities that is in hands of even a small creator or a producer. So kind of it has neutralized the industry. Let's say I was speaking to another person. So these kind of technologies, this disruption is usually industry equalizer. Somebody with let's say 100 crores of revenue, or somebody with 10 lakhs of revenue, or even 10,000 revenue, the technology gives same level of
It's a very big leveler.
yeah, it's very big leveler, right? So we are in a situation like that where okay, all of us have the same technology, but how I am going to leverage and go up. So in a situation like this, people are thinking, okay, marketing is going to die, and there are no going to be marketing agencies. Now you don't need a external consultant. Now I can get a ChatGPT can do it, or I will subscribe 3-4 tools and it can get things done for me. So this is kind of a perception, because we know usually clients are like that. Okay, they want to always internalize thing. They want to always have people in house to do it.
Anybody.
So anybody wants that. I'm not saying that as a wrong thing, because to have better control, better efficiency, people always have it. But why it was always a failure model, and why, let's say, somebody taking the specialist, somebody who is always on the moment getting things done, moving forward. So how do you see this AI disruption coming in? Because now industry is in a fear of missing out. Everybody wants to, okay, let me do. Everybody is in the FOMO mode. Nobody is prepared. And in fact, our series of podcasts that we have been doing till now is also to educate people about what does it actually mean on ground. So there is nothing to panic. How do you have to go to the next step?
Sure. So I'll take this for my industry because that's what I know about. One, AI is a reality. Okay, let me start with that. Okay, AI is a reality. You don't ignore the reality. So like you have the old adage. You can't ignore the elephant in the room, even though you want to. It's there. Now, what is AI in our industry? And I will also talk from where you came from, marketing. Okay. So there is something called human intelligence. There is an intelligence factor. And then there is something called scaling, speed and time. Okay. What's happened in our industry is we used to do a lot of manualize. So AI, if you take the word itself, okay, if you go to the etymology, and it is relevant, not that I'm an English teacher, it's an artificial intelligence. Basically, you're teaching machines or the laptop or data. Basically, you're running an algorithm. Algorithm is nothing but a binder. I'm talking this like a 10th class person can understand, 8 to 10th, that's all. Okay. There is so much of data. You're putting the whole thing in one murku kola and you're squeezing it out to get the shape you want.
Right.
I mean, this is the base level one I'm giving. So what has come in here? You are leveraging and making it faster and uniform, and there are no emotions attached to it. In research, that is what has happened. Okay, you remember we used to make kaimurku?
Yes.
Okay, then what happened? Then the machine. What did it do? It doesn't use brains. There is a pattern. It consolidated the methodology, and then it just
Scales it,
repeats it without any change. That's all. Nothing else. The AI, the way I describe it, multiple Google links. If you take or Google, or lack of another word, multiple links, the AI is smart enough to consolidate all this and give you something in the pellet size that you want. This has made job easy. How can you ignore something like this? You can't. Having said this, why is it in market research we're not yet feeling super threatened is market research is in research also, the human intelligence factor is high.
Yes.
Say somebody is going to a restaurant and wants to order. It is a multi cuisine restaurant. I'm giving you an example. You've gone with friends and family.
Yeah.
Okay, big group, nice. So the restaurant guy is very happy. Nice, 10 people booking vandachu. Okay, and you've given. Now tell me, in that menu card, can AI predict
What am I going to do?
order? Because you're a multi cuisine. Okay. You tell me this. What I'm trying to say is human behavior is, yes, to some extent predictable. Okay, but when you are there and you are in an experiential space and you are out in any of the emotional space, say you're going to celebrate, say you're gone for giving a treat or anything.
But it can predict, like because most of the people, even if there are 100 things, we will still order paneer butter masala.
That is when I'll go extra. So it can predict a large thing, which is like bell curve we call 70%. Why bell curve till today is popular is you take any population and you take any attribute, it will form a pattern with 70% people. You can get a pattern. And that's why it's called predictive. That's all. But it is not definitive. Like I was showing you that McDonald's, right? We did the study. They say we really know most people who come in, they know what they want. They want a particular double patty, one with lettuce, without lettuce, with mayo, fries on the side, and one, if they are feeling enjoyment, they'll add one lava cake. But that's not enough to drive up numbers, no? So then you insert it. It's not like the McD didn't know. McD is just a name I'm taking. It could be a KFC, it could be any eatery. Why did you insert that? So you are going to have a cusp of human intelligence who cannot ignore AI. Or let's take, what does AI do? I was talking to you before back home. That if you take anything in AI predictability you give, it is all urban data.
It's all urban data, yeah. It's
Exactly.
trained with people who maximum are from the urban.
Why? Because all your posts, all your studies are conducted in urban. I mean, they are funded urban. You know, while people say village and this is cheaper, no. Rural research is double the cost of urban research. When we also cost, they'll say, or ஊர்ல போய் கிராமத்துல பண்றதுக்கு why are you charging us? It costs double. In city, I can get 20 people, I can get 10 people. They understand. I don't need to convince them also. So, anyway, that's a separate topic. I'm trying to say, if you take India 1, all the ChatGPT AI which we are talking is just a consolidation of published data, which is not even 8% India 1. I mean, 8% is a very high number, I'm telling you.
In fact, if you take ChatGPT, like it is majorly trained not even in Indian data, it is predominantly US data. Like in the sense,
but if I bring it to India, if you say Indian soap market or something like that, it will pick up numbers only from those. And most important to remember, it's only published data.
So it's published data. The data
just
that is
published
available
data.
in the internet,
It is not creating any. Whereas if you take some researcher and like you said Assam, let's take Assam. In Assam, they don't use brand architecture services itself. Leave alone brand. Okay. Now you want to go and find out, I want to sell brand architecture services at which price, to whom and how much. Try getting this from ChatGPT or AI.
it will give an hallucinated data or like something.
No. It will give you something related. Assam is like maybe UP in some form. So I have this, and I am drawing an algorithm, and I am giving you. Which one? So I'm trying to tell in research. I'm using market research because it's me, but in marketing also, wherever there is a human interpretation and decision making, that still lies with us. Like you said, predictability, paneer butter masala, or because adaki you don't need AI. That is the most popular dish which the owner will tell you how much it will go on Saturday, how much it will go on Sunday. He will tell a better number than you can tell.
Right.
So let's take in our industry, we have seen in quantitative surveys, because it is metrics and they work on algorithms, the impact has been higher. Yes, we have had impact because of that. But in qualitative, where you're talking to humans and their feelings and what they could, hey, do you know, in today morning you'll get up and look at your wardrobe, which dress you will wear. You solve this problem for women, you're the best AI under the sun. I don't know about men, but for women. Can you tell which, if you have a girlfriend or a wife, she will stand there and say, I don't have clothes to wear. Now,
That problem I think no AI can solve.
no, but let's talk academically also. Because it is so connected to that minute, that feeling, and that mood, you can't predict. That's what I'm talking is human.
Right.
What are the limits of predictability and can't predict?
Yeah, but I think things are like moving towards it will more it will predict your taste, your user behavior, and it will suggest you something. Okay, why don't you try this?
It's moving towards suggestive. What is your entire Insta feed? In fact, Insta feed, if you see Insta or any of those, it becomes so suggestive that after some time you start liking it. You know what I'm saying? I uninstalled my reels for. You know what happened? I started watching one of these reels and her voice became so familiar in my ears that I started accepting it. This is so on me, okay? And that's what it is, and that's fine. So predictability is what you can take it, and that's market research which you want, and that is where the owner has to bring his component of decision making.
So, like let's say in today's example, I'll take like predominantly most of the consumer packaged goods brand or in general the awareness created by the health influencers, the consumption of protein becomes like the talk of the town because okay, till now, I mean, of course we were consuming chicken, we were consuming protein in our day-to-day life. Maybe it is not matching the. Our elders, our ancestors are used to.
It doesn't match the body weight equivalent in
Yeah.
grams, 1.2 times or rather.
Yeah. So there is so much of mathematics right now around in the space. Some of it is actually true. Some of it is maybe like not easy to accept. But industry is talking about protein. Brands like Amul launching Amul protein lassi or like they are even launching kulfi with the protein label on the package, right? So I want to know. Okay, this is a trend. Probably this is a useful trend. But how can I predict? Let's say if I'm now protein is the trend. In next 3 years, what's going to be the trend? Like how will I predict that, or what should I be doing in order to know what's the next thing which I should be focusing as an entrepreneur?
So this is exactly what market research has been doing for the last 50 years. So market research falls into two types of research, two or multiple. One research is what you do for current, okay? That is market perception, product perception, okay, concept test, product. There is something called exploratory research, where exploratory research always talks about, breaking the potholes. What else? Where else? What can happen? The beauty is you cannot expect this to come from consumers. Lot of times people say, okay, let us put a focus group together and brainstorm on ideas. No, we are not designed for that. At least not average people. Average consumers will react to any stimulus. Simple. They cannot create unless you are highly creative. That's super groups we call them. So we engage a panel of people who do that. That's separate. I'll give you for viewers a simpler example. that you walk into a room and people are watching something on TV or OTT and you ask, who's this hero? Who's this hero? Nobody will give you an example. You just try telling, oh, it's MGR. Everybody will pounce on you and say, that's not MGR. That's Surya. Do you know that? This normally elders in the family will do. So I know one uncle used to, he said, now Maryadaya, I was asking you all, who is it? Who is it? Nobody gave me the answer. So the stimulus he created was by claiming either right or wrong. So you react to stimulus. That's what I'm trying to tell you. You take a concept and show, people will correct 100 things in that. You know that? But if you ask them to write, no, what is it? This is fine. Very good. My Lux is good.
A simple example from the qualitative perspective is, quantitative perspective. I also like, let's say when somebody is giving me an open text box to fill an answer, I will not do. But I give 4 options, whether it is 0 to 2, 0. If you give me something, I can choose from, like that's a trigger, right?
It's
that's
a simple thing like people will say, I'll give you how human evolution has and they've become. Earlier, things like there'll be something called captured data, demographic data, meaning what is your name, what is your sex, then what is your age. Okay? Sorry, name is the one thing we still fill. Name. In sex, earlier it used to be male, female. Now, male, female, binary. I choose not to identify myself. Do you know that?
Yeah, that
is bigger. And age also. Nobody, not because of any shame about Gen Z and all, are very clear about I am this, I am 21, I am 36. They only put ranges. You know what I mean? 20 to 30. Because you don't want to tell anything and commit. Puriyarda. You only want to react to it. So you will tick the box. I am 25 to 35. That's it. So why are we reaching here? I am trying to tell, when you are doing market research, okay, we started with what are the trends and where is it going. One thing remember is the consumer is evolving. Your methods have to evolve. You cannot anymore ignore. Like we used to have traditional research. Companies who said, no, I will only go talk to them. We used to call, there's something called ethnography. We used to go to people's house, sit in their house and see how she's moving about the place. How is the husband bringing vegetables? How are their dynamics? These were very good. Still good. But you cannot ignore how does that person behave on social media. While we call it, no, what is social media? There's the whole thing, or their digital consumption. You take from morning, okay, we now live in the digital, not as in a derogatory way I'm saying, but that is the way of life, and there are only few times you are living in actual.
So then do you think there is going to be 2 personalities? One is my digital personality, one is my real personality. Most of us are very different. Like let's say, even though you are very sad in your real life, you don't have money, you portray that you are very happy or you are very successful. So do you think it's a trend, like, I mean, I'm not saying whether it is right or wrong, but
nobody is talking that.
Is it going to be like let's say Vinita will have 2 different personalities?
We have different personalities with people itself. Yeah? You'll be fighting in the house. When guest comes and rings the bell, what happens? Vanga, please, please make coffee. Okay, she'll also come very nicely. Inanga, you also eat, they also eat. The minute he closes the door, you'll come back. So these different personalities have always existed from times immemorial. I'm not saying no. Okay. The Jekyll and Hyde is inside everybody. Only thing is,
that's reality. I mean, there is nothing hypocrite about
no,
it.
No. If you don't have, there's something wrong.
Yeah. Okay. This is fine.
It's truth.
Yeah.
Not even claimed reality. It's truth.
Okay.
The digital and real life, I'll tell you now. Earlier, if you saw photographs and those, everybody would have that big smile. There would be makeup. There would be hair which is properly combed. Okay. Now, in fact, people are consciously posting aberrations. Take it even with film stars. They have those no makeup looks now. I think Rajni started this way before it was a trend. Yeah. He said, I would put makeup and wig only in shoot. Otherwise, this is me.
Real me.
But then, you know what happened because of that? He had a longer shelf life because people were not getting worried when they saw them with little grey, little... Ajit and all much later broke the pattern, but Rajni. So, whose shelf life is higher? So I'm trying to tell now slowly, sadly, to answer your question directly. Are they being two personas? They used to be. In fact, now that side is diminishing. The digital side is getting stronger, and the real is, you try talking to any of these 18 to 24 kids. You ask them to go talk to anybody, they die. But you ask them to text, or you ask
Put
them
a
to send,
story, they will
put a story and do. But I mean, I have this problem in my team, the younger and younger team, we need for tech. But then you tell, go meet client, don't sell, just meet. No, why should I meet and talk to him? You tell him, I'll ask him what he wants and I will mail it. I will text it. You get me? So that's becoming the real, the digital. And what you do here is probably just the alternate persona.
So now, what are the upcoming trends? Like, let's say you said the neuro market research, where you track the eyeballs and predict. So can we tell, like, what can you probably say what are the trends in the market research upcoming, probably including
So this,
your
yeah.
cognitive?
So the whole neuro falls. So the whole neuro bucket is going to be there. Then the second one is what we talk. That will continue. Whether you do in a survey form or you do talk to people, the traditional one will continue to be there. The third is the passive. It's going to be passive. The passive component is going to grow a lot. Okay? The passive component is basically your digital behavior. Your digital behavior, we all think is only Insta. No. The way you purchase, the way you exercise, the way you interact. Interact meaning, I mean, WhatsApp. All right? That's become now, more than calls, it's WhatsApp, you tell me, right? And so, under this, there are again many sub-buckets. Okay? So, if I take neuro, under neuro will come your eye track, your skin. It's called galvanic. It's called galvanic skin response, GSR.
Okay.
I went to a workshop and got certified. I was in Copenhagen last year for a week. And I'm like, who does GSR? And I was surprised to see where it's moving. And last year it didn't seem relevant. This year I'm hearing people asking, do you have shimmer? Do you have? So, okay, not bad.
Can you explain that?
So what they do is they just fix a sensor. Like how you have a polygraph for the heart. Okay, let's take a simple ECG. ECG is tracking your
Heartbeat.
Correct? Your EEG is tracking your brain waves.
Okay.
Okay, that has already come into market research. Okay, now it's called galvanic skin response, GSR, nothing much. So a very small thing, it's a patch which is put anywhere, either they put here or here, and that's connected to a graph.
Okay.
So when you, remember I said, when you see some products, when you hear some dialogues, your skin
Reacts.
See, I'll tell you,
goosebump
they
moment.
are beating, what they are beating is claimed reality, we are beating. Word is a claimed reality. I like this cushion. I can always fake it. Yeah, I like this cushion. Okay. I can even, then the next thing is facial expression. So I'll tell you higher to complicated. The easiest is verbal. Okay. Then comes eyes, where your eyes are looking. Then comes facial expression. This is the third neuro. After facial expression comes voice. Okay. Voice also you can fake to some extent. Then comes skin. This is the one thing you still can't
Control.
You can't control. You can't fake goosebumps.
Yeah.
You can't breaking into sweat. Like I said, you can't fake goosebumps. So, what we are moving towards is we want more of real behavior. That's why we call ours behavioral lab. Let's see how people are behaving. Be it physically buying products or seeing or the mind getting engaged or the skin reacting or the voice changing. In fact, there's now breath analysis, You take a breath and so basically all biomarkers, the word just to know, since you asked future, neuro next word if you want to know, you should call biomarkers. So if you use these words, people know that you know.
Okay.
Like how I said qual.
Yeah. Neuron biomarker.
Neural biomarkers will come. So each of these are called biomarkers. markers.
Yeah, I see, because with the advent of Apple Vision Pro, Ray-Ban,
Exactly.
we are going to be in more of that immersive world where the device will tell us or suggest us, or probably it will track our daily in a much efficient. இப்போ நம்ம app யூஸ் பண்ணும்போது it is asking for permissions, right? Whenever you are installing something new, it will give me permission. I feel this all these glasses that we are going to use, the it is going to probably ask permission for everything that we see. It will keep tracking and recording.
Very simple, like you said, the Ray-Ban Vision Pro and all, they capture and all. The only difference maybe what as market researchers do is you're capturing data, correct?
Yeah.
You're capturing videos and all.
Yes.
Like how we create when we take wedding photographs or event photographs, you curate it to an album to make it a storytelling.
Yeah.
Like, Coimbatore side, they don't just fix pictures. Way before that, they would make it like a story. And then it had a beginning and an ending. Now everybody. Similarly, the difference in market research and you capturing, if the entrepreneur is able to move it towards a trend, understanding, that's all they need. What is an insight? இதெல்லாம் observe பண்ணி, I think this is what it is. That's about it, is what I would call an insight. The Eureka was an insight. The oldest example of insight we say is use Eureka.
Okay.
The data added up to form a pattern which can be utilized. Forming patterns we always do. How do I utilize this?
With all this kind of newer technologies coming into play, what are the things that we can start seeing which are predominantly not available in the market? Like, let's say, what are the Unilevers of the world are currently doing with market research? Like, if you can tell on that level, like any experience that is currently happening in the trend. Okay, probably if a normal person is listening to it, should be shocked. Okay, these are the things I never expected will happen around me. So some shocking facts or interesting stories in research.
Okay. Well, whatever we spoke neuro now, okay, is very new. I want you to tell. It may be sounding like 2 years, but in any research, 2 is like very new. Okay. So, one main thing which big agencies, not only Unilever, even the big car companies or wherever the stakes are high, what they are doing is they are no longer doing linear standalone researches. There is whole triangulation of methods. So what, like I told you, the unification of biomarkers, exactly like you have these cameras. Earlier you used to use single camera and then you'll put both in the same frame. Now you use different. And then after that, I don't even know now if you go to a formal studio, how many.
Yeah.
And you club all this to arrive at a scene.
Right.
So, the multimodal research, this is the new word, is being used to predict how a consumer is going to behave. We always think research is ahead, okay? And because we are investing and we are doing, no. The consumer always beats. It's rat trap story. 100 rat traps, 101 ways out, right? Consumer is always the mouse. The marketer is always trying to capture him and put. Yeah, of course we do. You do capture, you do put. I don't mean to be disrespectful. I also in real life, I'm a consumer, though I study the behavior. And I fall into the same rat trap. But then what we do is, though we go into it, there will always be ways out, and then research has to catch up to how to catch it the next time.
Right. So, but do you think market research is driving the society forward? Like, this is what is making things better, or is it just making the businesses grow?
That's truth. If you want me to talk as a individual or as a market researcher,
in general, like your perspective.
So my perspective is, see, we all, no matter how much we complain that this is a capitalistic world, they're making us spend, blah 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 blah. Maslow's needs of hierarchy still exist. You do want the next thing. Unless you've reached a self-actualized stage where it really won't matter. Till the time you're beneath it, you need the thing.
Things to move forward.
Yeah. And market research, one way I would say is helps you economize. Otherwise, what you do, you're doing a lot of hit and trial. Okay? Instead of spending so much of money on after launching it and then you say that it's not working, now shut the whole thing down. Market research pilots it and tells you at least at pilot stage, look, this trend is not working. It will catch you before you burn your fingers. See, ultimately, it is driven by business houses. Market research is only the courier in between. It is the diagnostic lab.
Right.
Be it take your Lister or Metropolis or Acura. Are you telling they are driving good health or bad health or no? They are the markers or indicators for the medical industry on one side. On the other side, for people to live a whole holistic life. How else will you know you're holistic? You just tell me. You want, same way in business, you want healthy businesses which make money. Is that ultimately what we want?
Yeah. Absolutely. Everybody wants that.
Everybody wants it, not just as entrepreneur, even as an employee. Baba, let my company make money, I get my salary, I get my bonus.
Yeah.
Right?
True.
So, we aid that. Now, if that is seen as whichever space it falls into, is...
Since we have touched upon a lot of things from basics to advanced in terms of market research, so I have this one last question to you. Where are the places humans should spend more time to make them irreplaceable, and where are the places they can take leverage of the technology to probably empower themselves? Like, of course, I'm not saying you can ignore the tools and you can be as human. No, it is not the way. You have to evolve along with the innovations that the humans and your predecessors created, right? So I want to know, where do a young marketer today focus, or in general a young user, consumer also focus on, and how to not be bogged down by the AI wave that is coming, tsunami that is coming out there.
The wave's already come. Okay. So I attend a lot of conferences and labs. I will tell you, last year I attended our industry annual conference. Okay. So I'm talking 2024 September, October. Okay. Oh, so there were papers being presented. What we saw, because it's academic field, every paper looked similar. Okay. Because everybody were using the same open source. Only the topic differed. Okay. But there was so much of predictability. I said, what is this? What are we watching? What are we learning? Like you said, it's a leveler. Okay. The leveler is used only for speed. That's all. But what you need to focus is on your skill. So let me tell you, it's like biryani master. Will a biryani master ever go out of business? I love biryani, so I gave that example. He never goes out of.
Yeah.
Why? Because there is a skill of the human cognition. Yes, don't you have 10,000 YouTube videos with the best ones and the best chefs? But then why do you need your Krishna Bhatts or the Damus or even your Baikada master? Apparently they are paid close to 1 lakh. So I was just checking. Why? Because that decision to make at that moment, in the now, the power of now, like we call it, that is what you need to be focusing on. Definitely use the technology to consolidate, to speed up, to not to use for mundane stuff. See, like biryani masters no longer sit and chop onions. It's a waste of his skill also.
Yeah.
Right? So here is an example we give. You have 80% efficiency, which is what AI is called at, anywhere between 70 to 80. 70-80% efficiency with speed of lightning and time versus 100% efficiency, but it will come at its own sweet time.
We have to leverage the time, because time is
correct. So if you want to stay relevant in your market, bring that human decision making skill. This, according to me, is that okay? I run a company. I don't do one operational work, honestly. Right? So I always get scared I'll be replaced. So how do I stay relevant? I stay relevant by being that wingman who can spot opportunities, who can convert whatever we are talking to something usable to the client, make them buy it. I'm not in sales, but I can do that inception well.
Yeah.
So that's what at least I do to stay relevant in my own company.
Right. So I think every individual has to do that one part to keep their roles safe. Like, in the sense, probably if you are somebody, if your role is very easily replaceable with AI, probably you should see what next is there to upgrade yourself. I'll give you one example the within the social media space or a digital space. There were like people who were only writing captions. I mean, literally, their roles was to only come up with creative copies and write captions for your billboards or for your Instagram post in general. They're like mostly I would not say copywriters, because traditional copywriters now have different names in the advertising agencies. So these people, I mean, of course, the creativity, the element, everything still comes. The best ones are still doing great work by using the tools, but the mediocre ones who are just doing basic work, I think they don't have the
So
space.
that's
Right?
exactly what I'm saying. Skill is something, or specialization is something which you have to work on. You can't demarcate how will I get replaced. See, what is AI? The thing is, anything which can be algorithmized, I struggle with that word, you can convert into an algorithm, is going to come and catch you. But anything where you need to make a decision, take pilots. There are so many autopilots, all flights run on pilot. But tell me, even landing they have managed to get on autopilot. But that decision making of that height, that second, whether you move up, you move down, that still remains with you. So you don't need to find a niche or something else. I think decision making is the single most important skill which you need to keep developing to stay relevant.
Amazing. So, I personally had a lot of takeaways from this conversation. But what I also believe is this is a very, very long conversation. Especially, we have touched upon different touch points in marketing, but I feel we have a lot more subjects to speak, especially with your experience. I am quite sure, even if I'm giving 1 hour for your 1 year experience, it will not be enough. So you have already have 30 years of experience. So I feel we should do multiple conversations to make things even more. I want to extract more remarkable insights from you. So probably we will do episode 2, episode 3 moving forward, considering the time we'll
Most
have.
welcome. You check your viewers' feedback, and then you see. You should do your own research.
Yeah, now
and then you find out what is it that they'd like to know more, and then we'll do that. It's been my pleasure. Thank you so much. Like I said, it's been my such a long desire to be a respondent always,
Okay.
and you've really taken care of that.
So I hope I've been a right.
Amazing.
moderator,
You've been
yeah.
really good. Absolutely. You've been doing a great job. Keep rocking. Thank you.
Thank you so much for making time for this. But we'll definitely do more.
Sure, Arjun. Catch you.